Chainsaws and boat work, do they go together like oil and water or peas and carrots? Stick around, let's find out. Hello and welcome to the Boat Shed. My name is John and this boat here is Antidote. Now I am not a pro boat builder, but I'm an engineer and a sailor with the dream of fixing up this old boat to go sailing around the world someday. Now we got a lot of work to do first. Last time we've been working on some bulwarks, digging out some rotten plywood that's deep down inside there and not a lot of fun to remove, but maybe that changes today. Let's get you caught up on the work since last video. Now this first 48 inches, a little more, looks like 56, is fully cleared out. No more half-inch rotten plywood in here to keep me up late at night, having nightmares. So that feels good, and I'm really happy to be moving on. Tons of helpful comments in the last video. I want to say thank you to all of you that left those. There's been some offer to help with some tooling to make some modified scraping tools to help clean out that bottom of the pocket, pull all of that debris up. That is awesome. And then a lot of you mentioned using a chainsaw to pull out that wood instead of trying to drill it out like I was doing and breaking it up and scraping it out. Now that is an interesting idea. So stay tuned. We'll probably try something like that. I have a very small electric chainsaw that maybe we'll demo with here on this port side, see how it works. And if we really like that plan, maybe we'll invest in a tool like that to finish the boat, because there is a lot of material to remove as we go around this whole boat. Now, another thing that has come up in the comments is to just cut off this inside portion of the bulkhead, sort of like how Magic Carpet 2 was rebuilt with Aladino and Maya. I've been resistant to that idea, mainly because our boat is a little different than theirs. It was a wood deck with the foam on the side. It was originally wood, but then they replaced it with the new foam that they use. And that's the way that it was constructed. This is a one-piece molded fiberglass deck. So it was a little bit of a different structure, but I'm getting to the point where I think it is becoming a false economy to work in this manner, partly because, if I'm really honest with you, and I could lie because the camera can't see this, the material in behind this fiberglass bulkhead wrap is not my favorite. It looks like it's just poured in resin, as I've mentioned, and there are cracks and fissures that I see in areas, and I just wonder if it's really well bonded to the glass. I don't know. There is also a part of me that believes that if I do cut this off, it'll open up this area, much easier to clean that pocket out, and then I think I can rebuild it pretty quickly. So it might actually be less time and a better final result to just cut this whole bulwark off and rebuild it than to try and do what I'm doing. So I'm sure a number of you at home are saying, oh no, don't do that. And then a lot of you are probably saying, hooray, finally, he's doing it the way that I wanted him to. So we'll just have to see how that all shakes out. A couple of the things that cause me concern with that are, one, all of the stanchions and the pulpit are mounted on these brackets made of stainless steel that are bolted into the side of the bulwarks, and they're at a very specific angle, as well as this really cool old bronze, I've called it a hawse pipe, or maybe there's a better name for it. If you know, put it in the comment down below. The sailboats have amazing names for things that no one else uses in language ever anywhere else. So this is a really cool piece. I'd love to reuse this, and you'll notice that the angle is not, those are not parallel. Can you see that on the camera? Those are not parallel pieces. So in other words, I can't just glue up 1 or 2 layers of, say, 3/4 inch foam and glass it. If I do that, this won't fit. The stanchions will all be tipped in. So I have to pay attention to the angle. So that does add a bit of complexity as I'm gluing this bulkhead back up with a structural foam, but then I can wrap the glass back over nice and easily. So I'm rambling here, but I hope you get the picture. So we're gonna take a look at all those options, but right now let's get started with opening up the port side bulkhead as we've done here. Try that chainsaw out, see how that goes. So welcome to the port side, and we are just about ready now to dig in to this section of plywood. I've set up another course of scaffolding here, so I have one on each side now that we can roll back as the project continues. And I've taken the liberty to open this up with the oscillating tool, expose that wood, and now it looks like it's in about the same condition as the other stuff. So we're gonna try something a little different here. I have my little mini chainsaw. Isn't that thing adorable? So this was like $40 on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description down below. And I bought this for just doing little weird things sort of like this, and we'll give it a try. It's really cheap to get into this thing. It runs on the DeWalt batteries. I happen to have a lot of those yellow tools around, you've probably noticed. So we'll see how this works. I'm hoping that because the blade is spinning, it's going to be pulling the material up as we go, so probably reducing that step of having to dig it out. Of course, this is only a 6-inch bar, so it's not going to get all the way to the bottom. We'll see how this goes. Let's take a quick second to say thanks to the folks on Patreon that really help make this channel a possibility, especially the folks whose names are appearing now on the screen. Thank you all so much. If you're interested in joining the Patreon group, you can check out this link right up here. Back to the video. First impressions with the mini chainsaw, and I gotta say, this thing is working out great. So thanks for the tips, everybody. This little $40 unit is doing a great job of cutting the material, ejecting it out the back as I go. It's saving me that step of digging out and removing the debris with a little chisel. So I am enjoying that quite a lot. Now, of course, definitely want to wear all your full safety gear if you're doing something like this. Even this little guy can kick up a little bit because that tip is moving really fast and it wants to shoot out. So be aware of that if you're doing something like this. Do not try this at home, as they say. Now, of course, I do need to go a little bit deeper, so I'm hoping to be able to extend this bar a little bit, and I've got something on the way that might just work for that. Not sure yet. We'll have to see when it gets here. But while we wait for that to show up, there's something else I want to show you, so take a look at this. Time now for something a little different. And I think if you are working on a refit or taking care of a boat yourself, you're gonna find this pretty interesting. So this package came to me all the way from South Carolina today, and there's some stuff in here that I wanna show you. So let's see what's inside the box. So this might be getting a little bit ahead of the game, at least for what I'm working on currently on Antidote, but this is from a company called New Wire Marine. They're in South Carolina, and they focus on electrical system work, planning, and making really nice new custom panels with buttons and all sorts of things. They've sent me some goodies to play around with here, things to take a look at, and there's something in here that I really want to share with you today because I think it's really interesting. There are several goodies in here that they've shared with me in an effort to get some projects on Odyssey done and then eventually on Antidote, and they've supplied me with some really cool connectors that I wanted to share with you today. So yes, believe it or not, and please hear me out here, the thing that I'm really excited to show you this time are some connectors. Seems strange maybe, but in my previous life, I was an automotive engineer, and these are a type of connector that we find under the hood of lots of vehicles out there. And when you see these connectors, at least in my opinion, then you know you've got a good product out there. At least that's how I felt when I was working on some of these vehicles. Have you ever tried to work on a car or a truck and you're trying to open up an old connector and it shatters into many pieces in your hand? Well, these don't do that. These are made of really robust plastic. They have seals on the ends so that the wires come through, and then there's a seal inside the receptacle, probably hard to pick up on camera here, and then on that gland. So in the end, this connector, when it's put together, is IP68 rated, meaning that it is impervious to dust and can be fully submerged in water indefinitely. At least that's the rating. I wouldn't probably try that, especially on your boat, but it's nice to know that it's there if you do. And the best part is these things are super robust. They're not gonna mind if they get banged around a little bit. So when I saw that they had these and they maintain the products and also sell the crimper for them, I was pretty excited to get my hands on some because I know that these are a great solution. So anytime that you might have a circuit that has to be replaced or maintained every so often, let's say a bilge pump would be a great example, or a bilge level switch, those things go out all the time. This is a great solution for that because it's waterproof and it's going to allow you a quick, simple replacement. So whereas the butt connectors that we typically would see, every time you put one of those in, you're shortening your wires, right? Or you're adding another one, so now you got 3 in there. Well, this is a great way to set up your bilge pumps and then they're ready to go. If you have a failure, slap this thing on there, plug it back in. You don't need to get into the bilge with your tools and your crimpers and your heat guns. So I really like these. I wanted to show you more about them. These connectors come in 2 main flavors. There's a larger version, then there's a smaller version. This large version comes in 2 pins, 4 and 6, and these are good up to 25 amps, I believe, and they can carry 10 gauge wire and I think down to 12 gauge wire. So these are kind of for your higher current applications. And then there's a smaller version, and this one has the seal you'll see here on the plug side, not the receptacle. So they still end up being fully sealed. And these come in 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, and I think 12 pins. So you can do all kinds of things with them. And these are more appropriate for smaller loads, up to 13 amps, and I think they go down to 16 gauge wire. You might have to check me on that, but these are great because they just have a nice positive lock. They click, they come together. They're still super easy to take apart. So what's not to like about these connectors? Okay, well, there is maybe one thing. They do require a special crimper. That's something that you might want to be aware of, but there's a good reason for that. The pins for these are super sturdy. Look at the size of these things. This is for the larger of the two connectors, and this is for the 12 gauge wire system, but they are a completely round, solid piece of nickel-plated copper, and these are great pins, super good contact, and they can carry a lot of current. This isn't completely fair because this pin is designed to carry a lot less current, but you get the idea. These are what you typically see in a lot of connectors, and they're just a stamped piece of metal that has been formed and bent into the appropriate shape. And these tend to get all out of whack. In my opinion, there's a massive quality difference between this type of pin and what you have here. So I'm happy to invest a bit into these connectors. But you are going to need a crimping tool to manage these completely round pins. So that's where this guy comes in. This is the Amphenol official crimper for those pins. And this is the sort of high-end version that does the different sizes and is fully adjustable. It also comes with a go, no go tool to help you calibrate the device. There's a pin removal tool. You really just need a flat blade screwdriver. That's another reason why they're so cool. A couple of different gauges here for the different size of pins, and then here's the crimper itself. So with these, the crimping is unique because it actually crimps it all the way around the wire. You'll see there the 4 jaws come in. There's actually 8 little points that go in and smash that rim of the connector. You get this all adjusted right, and then it gives you a nice drive home. And once you've calibrated it with the calibration tool, you know you've got a good fit, and it's got the different sizes here for the different wires that you might be using. Notice I don't see a gauge 10 on there, so I'm curious how that works. Maybe we can just get away with using the 12. But now through the magic of editing, let's get one of these put together so you can see how it all ends up looking when it's all put together. These really go together super easily. They're very user-friendly. I really like these connectors a lot. So I think these are a great solution for bilge pumps, things like that. I'm excited to get some of these installed on the boat, maybe engine sensors, anything that you think you might need to replace at any regular interval and you don't want to be messing around down in your bilge or up overhead with wires and crimpers and heat guns, and you just want to be able to get that back together and with a connector that you can really rely on. So you can pick this stuff all up at New Wire Marine. We'll put a link to their website down below. Great guys over there, and they've got some awesome products that you can check out as well as these. These crimpers are kind of expensive at $250, but they really do take care of a lot of the functions of these connectors. They really handle everything. They also have another version that are pin size specific, and they are $50 each. So potentially for $100, you could get enough crimpers to manage the 2 sizes of connectors, but it's really nice, I think, for me to have on the boat just the one tool, and it's gonna manage all of those connectors. So, and now the moment of truth. Awesome. Well, big thanks to the folks at New Wire Marine for sending me this stuff to test out. And if you have any electrical needs, panels, switches, buttons, or just electrical supplies, they are a great resource. We'll put them in a link down below, and they're great folks. So do check them out. Now, I think we are ready to get back to the boat. So let's go see how things are going out there. Well, I was very hopeful I'd be able to get away with just extending the bar on this cheap little saw, and for another $20, 60 bucks all in, I would have a 10-inch saw. But alas, it was not to be. It didn't quite line up, didn't fit. It said the gauge of the chain was the same, so I was hopeful, but no. So I broke down, and we have the DeWalt 20-volt chainsaw here. I'm not gonna put any oil in it. It's supposed to get oiled to extend the life of the chain, so we'll just be careful here without oiling it. I don't want to get a bunch of oily residue down inside this pocket, but we'll see how this goes. It's bulkier for sure. Of course, we'll take the guard off. It's going to be a lot more work to get this thing maneuvered, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, well, without a doubt, the chainsaw is the ultimate way to remove that material. And the larger DeWalt saw is a bit more bulky, but it reaches the bottom and it cleaned this up really nicely. So we have the same amount of surface covered here as we did on the other side in dramatically less time. I won't get into specifics there, but you're gonna save a lot of time. So the chainsaw, unconventional tool for boat work, I think, but really helps get the job done. So, well, I hope you're enjoying watching me destroy this old bulwark, but you know, it'll be a lot better when it's done. So this feels like a great time to ask you to hit that like button for me. It's a cheap, easy way to show this channel a bit of love. I appreciate it a lot. Well, it sure makes a huge mess, but thankfully most of it lands on the scaffolding, so it wasn't too bad to clean up. And I also have that vacuum running, and although that works pretty well, that poor little thing must feel like it's drinking from the fire hose. I was planning now on cutting off a section of that inner bulwark to finish out this video. I think I'm gonna leave that for now, as I'm still weighing out the materials that I'm gonna use and how I would go about either way replacing that or rebuilding that. So I'm curious to hear from all of you out there. You guys leave a lot of great comments on these videos. I read every single one of them and try to respond to all of them as well. So let me know your thoughts on just sliding in some new foam into that slot that we've been carving out versus removing that intersection of bulwark. Now there's pros and cons to both methods, I think, and I might weigh that out in a future video, but I am interested to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and put those in the comments down below. Thanks so much. A little while ago, Bridget and I had the opportunity to join some new friends that we've met since starting this whole refit process and join them on a very special day in their refit journey. So Bridget and I loaded up the car, snacks and supplies, and some cameras, and we headed up north to Canada, which is where we both grew up, went to school, and all that fun stuff. So the goal for this trip was to cheer some friends on and also foster a little inspiration for our own refit journey. Any guesses yet about where we went or who we were visiting? Well, here's a little clue. So after more than 4 years of really hard work, Maya Aladino and their boat Magic Carpet are ready to splash into the Fraser River in Vancouver, BC, as the three of them prepare to find a way back into deeper, broader, and probably saltier waters. And if you aren't watching their refit series, you really gotta check it out. What are you waiting for? Watching the travel lift move into position and pick that boat up makes me think about what it might be like someday to see Antidote headed back to the ocean. As the keel splashes back into the water for the first time in over 15 years in this case, I can't help but think that that old boat must be happy to be home. So a big thank you to Maya and Aladino for inviting us to be a part of that very special day. It was truly an honor to be there and definitely inspirational for both of us. So also a big thanks to New Iron Marine for the help on this video and all the Patreons out there. So if you are new to the channel and you'd like to get caught up from the very beginning, welcome by the way, there's a playlist for you right here. And if you'd like to subscribe for more of these videos, we'd love that. There's a button right there. Take care, see you next time. Well, it sure makes a huge mess, but thankfully, it's doing a great job and it's tearing up the material. Really? Someone was really excited to leave the dentist office next door.